Now, if you truly want to know where Juventus are improving under Igor Tudor and where they're currently struggling and what things will hold them back potentially in the Club World Cup in the Serie A next season, then I truly recommend you watch this entire video. I've gone back and watched all 3 games during the group stages, and some stuff have left me impressed. And these are things that Tudor, these Juventus players, need to continue doing and build on them. Some stuff have left me disgusted. They've left me embarrassed. Because these are things that you shouldn't be seeing at a top team. You shouldn't be seeing in 2025. And Juventus need to address them immediately, right now. If addressing them means you sell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players, go for it. If addressing it means taking those 4 players, putting them aside, giving them their own individual program in order for them to improve these things, then so be it. These are things that will always hold Juventus back in any game. Now, if you're new, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, always engage in the comments. I love to hear what you guys have to say. Now, let's start off with a positive, okay? Let me put a smile on your face. The high press. Igor Tudor, one of his key principles of play is high pressing. Now, we saw it against El Ain and we saw it against Wydad Casablanca, but we didn't see it against Manchester City. And it's not because of the level of opposition. It's because of the players and it's because the structure went away. I'm here to speak to you guys about the pressing structure. Pressing structure shouldn't change whether you're playing Manchester City or El Ain. But against Manchester City, we saw one of the most pathetic presses by that group of players. Now, the positive is El Ain with that Casablanca, you guys can clearly see from the photos, energetic, they engage, they're tenacious, they're aggressive. But the beautiful thing about the high press is they always force them to play backwards. They never ever gave them the opportunity to play through the middle or to make that progressive pass. This is what high pressing does. You condense the space, you suffocate the opposition, and you practically force them back to their own goal. And the only way they can get out is by going long, 50, 60, 70 yards. A 50, 60, 70 yard pass is always risky. If you've got defenders that can win their duels in the air, you regain possession within a matter of seconds. We saw this on a consistent basis. But the thing that also helped was the fact that Juventus had players where when they did press, when they did engage with the opposition, they won the ball back. Applying pressure is 50% of the job. The other 50% is engaging, winning that duel, regaining possession. Somebody that was a massive miss against Manchester City is somebody like Kefrem Turam. And even last season, statistically, he was the highest ranked for regaining possession for Juventus through duel winning in the centre of the park. When he presses you, he gets the ball back. So he does 50% of the job, number one, which is he applies pressure. Then he does the other 50% of the job, which is he engages and wins his duel. Juventus stood out in their first 2 games in the Club World Cup. They applied pressure, they engaged, they won the ball back. You guys can clearly see from these photos, look at how close they are to the opposition players. They're not giving them any time to think. Now let's look at the pathetic press against Manchester City. Look at the gaps. Look at the gaps. Like, is there anything more for me to say? Look at the gaps. Every Manchester City player, once they receive the ball, they've got 4-5 seconds before any pressure is applied. But even when the pressure is applied, nobody is sticking their foot in. Nobody is looking to win the ball back. They're just applying pressure for the sake of applying pressure. And in my opinion, that's one of the worst things you could ever do in football. It's like Ralf Rangnick. He once came out and said, Ralf Rangnick, in case you don't know him, he's like the godfather of Gegenpressing in the Bundesliga. And he came out and once said, you either press or you don't press. It's one of the two. You either press or you don't press. There's no such thing as a light-hearted press, as a little bit of pressing. You can't. It doesn't make sense to do a little bit of pressing. You press or you don't press. It's like being pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. You can't turn around and tell somebody, I'm a little bit pregnant. No! You press or you don't press. Juventus against Manchester City, little bit press. Sometimes they would apply pressure. Sometimes they wouldn't. When they did apply pressure, there was no tenacity, there was no aggression, there was no duel winning. Nobody wanted to win the ball back. They were just running to run. Now, another bad thing. In my opinion, this is probably the worst one. And this is something that, once again, I never saw in the first 1-2 games of the group stages. But this is a massive problem. Like, in my opinion, it's connected to pressing, but this might be a bigger problem than poor pressing. This suicide gap in the centre. Look at these 2 photos. Look at these 2 photos. This was Juventus' structure out of possession. The defensive line is on the halfway line. midfielders have pushed up with the attack in place. Look at that little island. It's like the Maldives. Look at that little island in the centre. This is the worst thing you can do in football. It's all about being compact, condensing the space, suffocating the opposition. If you're going to sit back, you sit back together. If you're going to press high, you press high together. You don't allow the opposition any space. Do you guys know how many times yesterday all it took was one pass from Edison to pass the ball into this little island? And that's what? 4, 5, 6, 7 Juventus players completely taken out of the game. Because to make things worse, there's an island in midfield and there's no pressure being applied. Are you guys beginning to see why this is suicide? This, when I saw it, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is suicide. This is something every team across the world can punish you for. If you're going to press, everybody has to push up. You have to condense the space. If you're not going to press, then you need to sit back and still make the space as small as possible. Juventus practically made the pitch as big as possible for Manchester City. And there's no reason. It looked like men against boys. This happened on more than one occasion. And on every single occasion, all it took was Edison, one ball over the top. Vlahovic is out of the game. Koopmeiners is out of the game. Nico Gonzalez is out of the game. McKennie is out of the game. Every single one of them is out of the game. Whoever there is in midfield in Manchester City gets the ball turns, they're attacking Juventus. This is suicide. This is positioning. Okay? This is positioning. This is telling players how to position themselves off the ball. And I'll be honest with you guys, as much as we can turn around and say this is coaching, because by the way, 100% it is, this is coaching, but at the same time, you need somebody to communicate with the players. If you're going to push high, the defensive line has to push up. If it means going into Manchester City's own half, so be it. So be it. But if the defensive line is going to sit back, somebody has to communicate with the attacking players, which is take a few steps backwards, because there's an island in the middle. And the best teams will target it and they will punish you. I'll be honest with you guys. And now positioning, the final one. And in case you guessed, it's another negative. When it comes to positioning, when the opposition apply pressure, as a teammate, you have to make life as easy as possible for the player on the ball. You have to position yourself correctly. One to the left, one to the right, one ahead, one backwards. If it's a triangle, if it's a hexagon, if it's a diamond, whatever type of geometry you want to see on a football pitch, it's all about making life as easy as possible for your teammate. Because in return, you'd want them to make your life as easy as possible. The one thing I didn't like against Manchester City, and there's a reason why a lot of the players that started the game against Manchester City, I personally feel like need to be moved on. Whenever Juventus were trying to play out of the back, whenever any player would have possession of the ball, none of them made themselves available. This is a big problem. Now, in my opinion, from having watched the game for so many years, I put this down to players shying away, players not wanting responsibility, players being cowards on the pitch, players not wanting the ball. You look at a few of these examples, and to be fair, the one thing they have in common is it's always Locatelli. Locatelli, we all know he likes to drop deep, receive the ball in order to progress it. You're not helping Locatelli out. Like, you look at some of these photos, how many players are truly available to receive this pass? How many players? And at the same time, how many of these players are unavailable because of the way they've positioned themselves, because of how big the gap is between them and Locatelli? It's all about condensing the space, playing in close proximity of one another, getting as close as possible to your teammate. I don't mean staring them eye to eye, 5, 10 yards, but making sure he's got a pass to his left. He's got a pass to his right. He's got a pass ahead of him. I don't want my teammate to stay on the ball for 4 or 5 seconds struggling to find a pass. And I hated this, I'll be honest with you guys. As much as we can turn around and say Manchester City's pressing structure was amazing and they applied serious pressure to Juventus, we could also turn around and say Juventus made it very, very, very easy for Manchester City. Because every single time they had the ball playing out of the back, nobody showed for it. Nobody showed for it. And for me, it was disgusting, I'll be honest with you guys, because you know what was crazy? I said this in my review as well. The game changed as soon as Cambiasso, Thuram and Kenan Yildiz came into the pitch. Seconds later, literally seconds later, Juventus are playing out of the back. Look at who's making themselves available. Look at who's making themselves available. And look at how many Manchester City players are around them. What is it, 4, 5, 6 Manchester City players in a circle around Kefrem Thuram? But this is a guy that was like, no, I don't want you to go long. It's too risky. I'm happy. I'm happy to receive this ball with 6 players on me. Trust me. That's what Juventus need. That's what Juventus need. They need characters of that, but they need players of that technical security. Players that can drop deep, knowing I'm being pressed from the left, from the right, from behind, from forwards, from every possible angle. But I can play under pressure. Give me the ball. Let's play together. Some of these examples, I was watching when Locatelli received the ball. None of them would show themselves available. There's one clip. Dusan Vlahovic is not even in the picture. He's offside. He's like 15, 20 yards ahead of the picture. And he's not looking to get back in position to help his teammates out. These things are suicide. These things, like in reality, these things make you so easy to press. So easy to press. Because everybody knows, apply pressure, they have to go long. Going long is risky, we regain possession. You have to play with one another. You have to drop deep for one another. You have to make yourself available. And yes, this can be pinned on the players, but in my opinion, it can also be pinned on the coach. This is training. Telling players when we're playing out of the back and you see Locatelli receive the ball deep, you drop deep. You drop deep. Like this for me was the icing on the cake. Juventus go on the counter attack. I don't know why on the left-hand side, Coop Miners, I'm not even too sure who the other player was. I've completely forgotten who it was. Look at Juventus making this the pitch as small as possible for themselves. Can somebody explain to me why there are 3 Juventus players within the space of 5 yards, all stuck to one another? I'm looking at Coop Miners and I'm saying, surely what you should be doing is running. Even if you don't receive the ball, just run, because then you drag Ruben Diaz with you. When you drag Ruben Diaz with you, Kostic becomes available. You're practically stood right next to Kostic. You're both asking for the same ball. And all Manchester City have to do is apply pressure. Because there's no way out. These things are coaching. These things also come down to the players. And the reason why I said to you guys, Juventus need to eliminate these things. Because if you realise a player can't do it, you take him out of the picture. Because one player making this mistake will mess it up for everybody else. And I'll be honest with you guys. If you were to go back and watch that performance against Manchester City, regardless of the 5 goals that were conceded, just go and look at how Juventus played in possession. I don't care about the 5 goals that were conceded. I don't care about the defensive mistakes that were made. Just go back and watch the way Juventus played out of the back, the way Juventus played when they had the ball in the second phase, and what Juventus tried to do in the final third. It wasn't good enough. And in my opinion, in my own humble opinion, every single area here that's either got a question mark or that's got a red circle around it needs improving. Juventus need to get themselves 2 solid centre halves. Juventus, in my opinion, in the final third, Kolo Muani, Conceição, they do the job. I feel like in order for them to get themselves to that next level, they might need to get themselves a better striker. They might need to get themselves another better attacker. These are areas that need addressing immediately. And if you're not going to get a new striker, if you're not going to get a new attacker, those 2 centre-back positions are essential. They're basically make or break. If you don't get them, next season will be tough. If you do get them, you could definitely start building onto something. That's what we've learned from the group stages. Now, if you're new, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys on another one.